The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reish.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Very exciting program today. As many of you know, I actually have a company called Empowered Women Workshops, and I had the great fortune to come into contact with someone else who's very interested in empowerment. Her name is Rebecca Hall Gruyter. She's the owner of Your Purpose-Driven Practice, creator of Women's Empowerment Series. We have that in common. She does events, and she has a TV show. She is called the Speaker Talent Search. I think the TV show is called that. We'll check with Rebecca in a moment. And Rebecca's Money Summits. She is the network director for Voice America's Women Channel in both radio and TV. She's a very in-demand speaker, an expert money coach. Oh my, lots to talk about. And a frequent guest on success panels, tele-summits, TV and radio shows. She is the CEO also of RHG Media Productions, and she launched, she's obviously not busy at all, she launched an international TV channel called Empowered Connections TV. Can't wait to hear about that. Bringing transformative TV shows and programming to the world. She is a very popular radio host on Voice America and a #1 best-selling author who is helping you impact the world powerfully. So first of all, welcome, Rebecca. I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here and look forward to the conversation.
Well, it does seem like we have a lot in common, I must say.
I agree, yes.
And I love meeting a woman who's into empowerment. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you, because I'm going to get to know you a little bit through this interview as well, is, how did you get into the work of empowerment and why is it important to you?
I love that question because it wasn't something I necessarily set out to do. I didn't have that on my objectives as I went forth in life that I want to empower people. It actually came from my own story that as a little girl, from ages about 5.5 all the way to 13, and I actually continued to visit the environment until I was 18, I was in a very abusive environment. So I experienced things a little girl should never experience. You name it, I experienced it. And as you know, those are very formative years. So very disempowering. And what I formed beliefs, and survival, what I started to believe was that I didn't matter.
Oh, boy.
I'm not okay.
Oh.
It's my fault.
Oh, my God.
There's something wrong with me. And then ultimately, it's not safe to be seen and heard.
Wow.
And eventually I was rescued and put into an environment where I could bloom and grow and start that healing journey. And that's the point where I actually realized that those were lies and not truth, that I was actually beautifully and wonderfully made, just as each and every one of you are, on purpose and for a purpose, that they loved me. So I learned I was lovable. And this longest healing part of that journey has been to really know, not just intellectually, but on a cellular level, that it is safe to be seen and heard. And that's why I'm so passionate about empowerment. I want to help men and women not believe the lies, step into the truth, and give the gift of who they are to the world, because we need them.
Wow, that's very touching. And, unfortunately, I meet many people who grew up in your circumstances and with the idea that they're not important and they are of no value. And I like to say we have to turn our lemons into lemonade. And it really sounds like you did, because your work must be very meaningful to you, given what you experience. And I just want to give you a little compliment for what it's worth, is that I'm very happy some people rescued you. But I have to say that to a certain extent, you needed the right environment, but you clearly rescued yourself.
Yeah. No, thank you, because we do get to make choices. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose our response and what we choose to echo forward in the world or not. And I am honored and privileged to do the work that I do, and it is deeply meaningful to me when I see individuals start to make those same choices in their life to bring forward what matters to them.
And, I was reading your biography and, I wasn't clear on which was a TV show and which wasn't. So you do seem to be doing a lot of things. Can you break it down for us? What are you up to?
Sure. There are
I
quite
thought
a
I
few
was busy.
things.
Yeah.
So on the TV side, I did launch the TV channel, which is called Empowered Connections TV. And the television show, we have, I believe, 9 different weekly shows currently on the channel. We have a few more coming aboard. But the one that I produce is called the Women's Empowerment Series. And that's actually filmed from our live events that we do 5 times a year. And we turn them into weekly 30-minute television shows, so we can bring that content and inspiration to the world.
Okay, and if someone wants to watch this TV show, how do they do this?
The easiest, best way is to go to empoweredconnectionstv.com, because there are multiple connections. empoweredconnectionstv.com, and you will see all of our shows that we are bringing forward. And it's really about bringing transformational programming to the world. We want to support, equip, and empower individuals in their lives. And there's so much we have around us that cannot be positive or can feed negative messages. And our passion and our mission is to really bring truth and positive messages and transformational ways that we can interact and live our life on purpose.
Now, do they have to pay anything to watch the show, or is this free?
Nope. This is our gift.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Now, you are also, like myself, you have a show on Voice America, and that show is about empowering women and transforming lives. So how did that come to be, and what do you have quite a big show on Voice America, so tell us a little bit about it. Maybe people listening would like to check you out.
Sure, I would love that. It's called Empowering Women, Transforming Lives, and we actually have a large male listenership as well. So men are welcome; they are not excluded. We need you as part of the walk as well.
Right.
But it's designed to have us take a pause in our life and breathe. We get so busy rushing from thing to thing that this show is really designed to help you pause, breathe in, listen internally, as well as get inspiration, information, and practical tips and tools that you can carry forth into your life. And we have free gifts that we share with our listeners every show. And we really want you to move forward powerfully in your life. And we bring in experts from all different walks of life to support you on that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm actually going to be one of those experts at the end of May. Coming on your wonderful show.
It's coming up.
Yeah, I'm psyched. Now, here's the thing I want to figure out before I go into some of the nitty gritty. So you have the TV show, you're interested in empowerment, that's clear. Then we started talking about money summits and that you're a money coach. So are you a coach in many directions, or are these all sort of interconnected?
To me, they all fall under empowerment, because one of the areas we get very disempowered is in our relationship with money. And the coaching speaking world, we're pretty good at supporting around moving through our blocks and releasing a lot of the emotional charges, but not so much on what you actually do with it, like the practical steps. And my background before I stepped into empowerment work, I had almost 15 years of being a financial expert. I worked in the consulting world, Fortune 500 companies, startups, school districts, worked with their leadership teams around money, and then became the translator. I traveled across the country explaining those terms in practical ways that people could actually use it in their life. And so that's where a lot of my money background and expertise comes from. And I had the corporate journey that I took. And then I also had my own practice. And so I got to work with individuals, families, and companies. So a wide range of experiences there.
It's amazing.
And many people have myths and misunderstandings around money. And if I can help give them truth from the myth and support them, then they can move forward in the areas they're called to move forward in. So that's where that money vein comes in.
Well, it makes sense because when you think about it, I know I talk about this often, and I'm sure you do too, which is that if you're not feeling empowered, you don't really draw money into your life. So they sort of go together. You don't feel like deserving of it, I guess.
Yep. We have a lot of stories we tell ourselves around money. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. And, this whole idea of scarcity versus abundance, it's quite a challenge in my practice. I see people who just feel there's never going to be enough. And that, I imagine, since you coach on this, I imagine you must teach people that how dangerous that kind of thinking is.
Well, it is. And then what we struggle with sometimes is we think more is the answer. And in actuality, more is not the answer. It can be part of it, but in and of itself, it isn't. We need to be clear on what more is, because $1 is more. We have to be very specific. And we need to shift our relationship with money that we actually know how to be in relationship with more. Otherwise, it becomes temporary and will spend down to a number we understand and are familiar with. So there's the inner work we need to do as well as really the practical hands-on. And that was in the advisor world. What we were really good at is that practical side. We weren't as good in the other. So we needed help kind of bringing those together.
So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about how why certain topics are so important to you. But I guess that I want, this, what we're talking about with money and empowerment, I guess the person who seeks your services out is somebody who wants to be seen and empowered and increase visibility and service. Is that about right? Your typical clients?
That a lot of them are messengers that are looking to reach more people. And so people will tap into me from the visibility messenger side of things, as well as from the business planning and building so that they're playing to their strengths. So I attract people from both veins.
How interesting that is and how important a job you're doing. So I want to definitely get into, you said how empowering others was so important to you because of your own history. I'm curious about what being seen means to you and why that's important. What does it mean to be truly and authentically seen? You've mentioned that. Is that related also to your past and what you went through?
Absolutely, because my biggest challenge and my biggest hurdle was being seen. Right. I was happy to serve, big heart to serve. But I wanted to do it hiding or in a safe way or hiding behind my credentials or my title or my uniform or whatever. It was scary to actually truly be seen authentically as I am. And yet that is where we make the biggest difference. And the other piece of that is I can go into most audiences today and ask how many of you want to serve and make a big difference and touch people's lives and make a lasting impression in a positive, big way. Most people raise their hands. Then when I ask them, how many of you feel like you're still the best kept secret? That if they only knew, you could change their life. And most of them raise their hands again. Wow. And that's where we have to take responsibility. We have to be willing to be seen on the same level we want to serve, or our service will be limited.
That's very powerful. Can you say that again? How will our service be limited?
We have to be willing to be seen on the same level we are willing to serve. Because if nobody knows how we can help them, we can't help them. We have to let people know, this is what I do, this is what I care about, this is how I can make a difference. We have to lead that relationship.
I'm talking with the fascinating Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Am I saying your name right, by the way? Gruyter?
It's a Gruyter.
Gruyter, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Still fascinating, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So I'm talking to the multi-talented Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Hopefully I'm saying it right. I'm still not sure I am. Hopefully she'll forgive me. But her talent is probably more important than the pronunciation of her name. She's got a lot to offer. And you know that Straight Talk is really about living your best life. So I thought what you were saying right before the break about, you know, this conflict between being of service and being comfortable being seen. I really connected with that because I remember a time, it's not that way anymore for myself, but I remember a time where I was one of those people hiding behind my degrees. I'd actually rather send someone else out to speak than myself. And being seen was not comfortable for me. And I guess allowing people and, you know, the permission and to feel that, I guess the word is entitled almost, to be seen, to spread their message is a tremendous gift that you give people.
Absolutely. I agree. I was the same way. I was happy to have anyone else go and speak but me. Wanted to just answer questions, didn't really want to lead. I would shrink back a little bit on stage or let everyone else go before me and hope it wouldn't get to me. I mean, very much hiding, and I would hide behind the credentials, all of that. But what I found is it was like an armor that I was wearing between me and them, because then they weren't rejecting me, what I really cared about. They were rejecting information, or they were rejecting the credentials, or they didn't understand.
So you're protecting yourself.
Exactly. And so really being willing to just take that off and just be authentically perfect in my imperfections and share from my heart created that authentic connection. But I had to lead it. And it was vulnerable. It was scary at first. And yet, even in that, people were drawn because they're like, you were scared, but you cared enough to share with me anyway. And that gives me courage. It's all used, all of it.
So the shift when you did, you know, so when you sort of came out, if you will, and started being seen. So I guess what you're saying is it got easier as you did it, but the first time had to have been quite tricky and quite stressful for you, I'm guessing.
Well, it was, and part of it is going back to that childhood again, and that being seen and heard, that voice part was huge for me, because even all the way through college, I had trouble saying my name and anything else after it. I could stand up there. I could look whatever look I thought I was supposed to look. But when it came to voice or speaking, I would turn red, my ears would ring, I would lose my words, because my body would remember what went on before, and it was shutting down and trying to protect me. So that's the place I came from. And every time I would step out on stage, those reactions would come. But I also learned that I cared enough about the message or who I was sharing it with. I was willing to be a little uncomfortable for a moment if it could make a difference in another's life. And that's part of where I got some of my courage. And when I survived every time, I became a little bit stronger. And one of the techniques I used to stand in that space is I gave myself permission. I was allowed to walk off anytime. And I would eye the exit strategy. To this date, I have not walked off. But
that's amazing. So you would check where the exits are in case you had to go.
Yeah, in case I needed to leave. And what happened then is I was no longer, I had to be there, forced to, victim, they're making me, whoever they are.
Yeah.
I was now in a place of choice and power and leadership. I choose to be here, and I'm okay being a little uncomfortable if it makes me a little uncomfortable, because I want to make the difference for that person. I feel I'm called to share something that matters, and I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to be comfortable because that matters to me. And now it's joyful. I love doing all the things that I do now, but they were
How
things
often do you speak now?
Oh, what type of speaking? Interviews or keynotes?
How often are you speaking publicly that people, that you're being quote unquote seen?
I would say probably close to 50 times a year would be my guess. And I'm interviewed anywhere from 3 to 12 times a week.
Wow. So the reason I asked that question is it seems to me that in your, what you've done in your life is that you're now healing people, but the process to get there healed yourself. And I think that's a very inspirational story.
Yes, thank you. Yes. And it's joyful. All the things I was afraid of doing when I said yes to sharing my story for the first time, I wrestled for 9 months. I shouldn't have to. I've suffered enough. And then I said, okay, God, I'll do this mean, hard, horrible thing of like speaking and sharing my story. If I don't have to speak to more than 50 people at a time. I never want to be on radio, forget books. I'm not an author. I don't want to be recorded, no camera, no film. I'll use a microphone because my voice isn't super loud. And you just let me know where I'm supposed to be. Let's go change the world.
And meanwhile, you were telling me on the break you have 4 books coming out. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously there's been a huge shift. We've just started to get to know each other. It's been lovely, but I can't help but say this is I'm very, very proud of you. I mean, it's, I work in the field where I hear people's stories of their childhood and I see the directions people take. And, unfortunately there's a lot of very difficult childhoods, but I think you really exemplify the fact that we have choice. We don't always have a choice in our childhood, but we certainly have a choice in our adulthood. And in my opinion, that is a little bit more than a little bit what empowerment is all about. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. And I agree. Absolutely. Yes.
Rebecca, I was curious about visibility and service. How are these two things connected? Explain to us what that means.
Sure. And we touched on that just a little bit, but to expand, it's that I find so many I call them messengers out there, people that are called to deliver a message or people that are called to bring a service or healing or something to the world to make a positive difference. These people have a huge heart to serve. That is what they want to do with their life, and they want to make a difference, and many of them on a global level. Yet they feel like the best kept secret.
Yes.
And they're frustrated by it. And why don't people see? Why don't they know? Don't they understand I can help them with this and I can make their life different? They don't need to live that way, or they can have this kind of a life. It's I can help them, or if they only knew. And yet what they're missing in that equation is they don't know because you haven't let them know.
So how do people let people know?
You do it almost on a day-to-day basis. You can do the marketing, which I believe is very important. You can be on radio shows. You can create a platform where you're out there sharing and building your expertise and letting people know how they can move forward and letting them know you're an expert to help them do that. That's not salesy. That's letting them know, hey, this is how I can help. I personally want to be helped by experts that love what they do. Those are the people I'm looking for. And if you can make my job easy and say, hey, I'm an expert in this, I can help you remove that block, I can help you move forward in this way, I want to know that. When you go out networking, so many times people go there, they'll get caught up in one conversation, or people ask them, what do you do? And they kind of, or what's going on? And a good, simple way that you can start spreading the word is share something you're excited about. Oh, what's going on? How are you doing? And you say, I'm so excited. I'm launching this book. I can't wait to get this message out there. We're really looking to make a difference in people's lives. And that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, so then it leads into the conversation. Now they know you're an author. They know you're bringing a book forward. What's it about? And then you share what it's about. And, oh, you do empowerment work. Or I help. One of the things I'll talk about is I'm looking for messengers, speakers that are wanting to reach more people. I have over 1,000 opportunities I'm looking to fill right now with speakers. Do you know somebody that is looking for that? So I'm not selling to them, but I'm letting them know, hey, I help messengers and speakers. Do you know someone that's looking for help? So it's a way to work it in conversation. You want to be visible on social media. None of it's being salesy. And I think sometimes we feel like it is, but you're really just sharing, this is what I'm about.
And especially as women, we struggle with that. This is why the company that I did was for women, not, like you said, it's definitely men appreciate empowerment too. But I think women, we really feel sometimes that we are coming across salesy, and that, you know, we have to be a little bit more passive. And I think that we have a lot to offer. And I think it's important that people, like you so well said, you're not selling something if you're offering something. It's not quite the same thing. It's really, really true. So I'm curious for you, you know, going back in time. I mean, I know you when you're like doing 14,000 things and you're you're top. But how did you start? Did you start with a book? Did you start with how did you start?
Well, and a lot of this is I had the background in finances, and so I already had a speaking platform and experience. So speaking to groups was really how I'd grown my practices and my businesses, and so that was the place I started. I believe it's important to build off of what you have and go forward. You don't need to start from scratch all the time. And so whatever way it is that we have connection with the world, we have an expertise, that's the vein and place to start. So the first step I did was speaking and sharing my story. That led, so the first time I shared my story, it was in front of 300 people, live streamed, 7 minutes.
Wow.
And I had two radio interviews in the works and a television interview and 2 book deals. And one of them became a bestseller and is actually what originally got me on Voice America's radar. But when I stood up there, my knees knocking, scared, sharing from my heart, right? Perfect in my imperfections. I got a standing ovation I didn't even see because I was so out of my body. And when I stepped off the stage, I had a lineup of men and women that had been touched, and that built my courage muscles. It showed me it made a difference, and I didn't have to be perfect. And then it stepped into all these other medias. But the starting for me was speaking.
So what was that best-selling book called, that first best-selling book?
Succeeding Against All Odds.
Great title considering what you went through, my God. So I guess we'll take a short break, and I guess what I'd like to know when we come back is how you support speakers and messengers right now. So we'll be right back, and I'm going to do this carefully now. I'm going to say with Rebecca Hall on Straight Talk. You see how I played it safe there? On Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
Having a great talk with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. And, there are so many people, Rebecca, who I meet who do, have exactly what you talk about. They have a gift to give the world. That's what I tend to say to people. You have a gift to give to the world. And they don't know where to start. So I really appreciate the fact that you're here on Straight Talk telling them how they can start. So if you're listening right now and you want to know how to start in spreading your gift and making this world a better place, you want to stay tuned because Rebecca does a lot to support speakers and messengers. And when we say messengers, Rebecca, I do believe we're saying people who have the message that could help someone live a better life, right?
Correct. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely correct.
So you personally do things to support speakers and messengers. So if there's someone out there who feels they're the biggest secret, how do you say it? The biggest secret that nobody knows about?
The best kept secret.
There you go.
The world only knew. Mm-hmm.
And so they're listening and they're going, hey, wait a sec, I'm interested in this Rebecca lady. How do you support speakers and messengers? What do you do for them?
There's a lot of different things that we do, and one of them is we have tools and resources to support you. I've been blessed to have endless speaking opportunities from pretty early on in the financial world, and I continue to have that to this day. And yet I find that many people struggle with that and getting through the gatekeepers and getting on the stages to get in front of the people they're called to serve. And so there are tools and resources. Many of them are free. There are some at a cost, but they're not, out of control. We really want this information in your hands that we have on our website to support speakers. And then,
what's your website?
Yeah, I can share that. It's yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Again, that's yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. And you'll see there are buttons you can click on for ebooks and our television channel and other resources that you can lean into. So that's one way that we're supporting speakers. The second is really helping them with those connections, because when I started to have my radio show and I started to have my own live events and conferences and stages, I found I was inundated with people that wanted to be on those platforms. They didn't know what they were about a lot of the time, but by golly, they wanted to be on there because they have learned that being a speaker, being a messenger is the fastest way to get your message out there is speaking it. It's sharing it to groups rather than one by one by one by one. You can reach more people faster. And so when I found that so many people were approaching me, there was this huge need for speakers are looking for platforms to speak on. Yet they would come from very different places. And I found that their definition of a speaker was sometimes different than mine. And when I would have them on my stages, they had a different definition of making offers or being there or whatever it may be. And so I decided we needed to have a system and a process. I like systems and processes. I'm that person. I love lists. I like to check things off and create systems. I do. And so what I did is I created the speaker talent search. And I found there were other people that had platforms and radio shows and television shows that were having the same challenge, that they really wanted to actually experience the speaker before they had them on their stages, so that there was an alignment and a similar heartbeat and the message that was being shared forth. And they could serve their communities at the highest level doing that. So that's what we're doing. And what we do with the speaker talent search is I want to really support speakers at whatever level they are, whether it's brand new, we're just starting out, or I've been doing this for many years traveling the world. We have an 18 questionnaire that they go through that will help you find clarity, fine tune it, have answers to the questions about what you do, why you do it, update everything so that when the opportunities come, you're ready. And many people actually start getting opportunities before they ever even audition because they're ready, they're talking about it, they've got everything ready, they're getting clear. And the reason I have endless speaking opportunities is because I know the answers to those questions. And so that's a way you can have that too. And then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just wondering where this talent search takes place.
It's actually in different parts across the country. Originally, it was just in California. That's where I'm from, the East Bay. And we have found that people are wanting more and more and more. And
right.
So we are having one down in Southern California actually in May. And then we'll be back in the East Bay. And then we will be at the Voice America headquarters actually in Phoenix, Arizona. They're going to host one. And then we're going to be in Texas this year. And then we'll be expanding to additional locations this coming year.
So when people go to this talent search, so they sign up on your website, they show up at the talent search, and they speak in front of you. Is that how it works?
Well, they go through an application process. From that, we select up to 60 finalists per audition. Those get to come in and actually audition live in front of myself and a panel of people that actually are looking for speakers, that are television people, radio people. They are people having conferences, telesummits, all different types of things, podcasts. They're really looking for the right talent to bring to their stages, whether it's virtual or live. And so you meet directly and you're seen directly by them. And every panel, we have anywhere from 750 to 1,200 opportunities we're looking to fill.
So, wow. I mean, I have so many questions. Like, how did you put this together? This is your baby?
Mm-hmm.
So you just came up with the idea to create a platform where people could get speaking engagements, and you found the right people to be sitting on the panel.
Yeah, because for me, it's seeing a need. There were speakers that needed stages, and there were people that had stages that needed the speakers, but they were having trouble meeting. So I created a way for them to meet.
So I think that's a very, very exciting project for people listening who want to get a chance to get out there and speak. So they would come to a talent search. They speak, if they make it through, they speak in front of these people, and the opportunities as a result of that are they guaranteed that there's opportunities? Is it like, I can't guarantee you anything, but you're going to be in front of very important people? How does that work?
Sure. So if I invite you, because not everyone that applies gets to come to the talent search. So there's that part. If I invite you to the talent search, I believe there are opportunities there for you. I'm not going to waste anyone's time. It doesn't make any sense. But I can't guarantee, because I don't know. Are you really going to show up for your interview spot? Are you going to have a really off day and do something totally out of alignment? Then you're probably not going to get the opportunities. But if you stay on path of who you expressed in that application, then you will most likely get opportunities. But I can't control how you are going to show up, but I will have the people in the room that are looking for messengers like you if I've invited you.
Amazing. And how long does the person who goes to one of these things get to speak? 7
minutes. They have to do a full presentation, beginning, middle, and an offer, because we want to see how you hold all of those spaces. And then after you complete, you can actually ask people on the panel questions. We have people even at network levels that are there, people who have represented celebrity talents. I mean, we just have a real range of people on each panel, and every panel is made up of different people. So some people apply for multiple talent searches because they're wanting to be in different areas and introduced to additional spheres of influence. And then they grow every time. There's a feedback upgrade option that you can get where you can really see how you were received, what they loved about you, finalist after finalist, what they'd love to see more of, things they'd encourage you to lean into. They even come up with business ideas sometimes. I mean, during the time when you get a bunch of leaders together, they always create more. And we actually have masterminding behind the scenes that we're leading them through. And every time they create more joint ventures and more opportunities. So it's a really amazing environment, experience to be in. And I hope that it's one that creates a lot of messengers coming forward, sharing their messages, and that those who have the stages are getting people to bring forward and touch the world.
Well, I'm so glad we're talking about this. I mean, I'm tempted to show up there myself. It sounds like it's the Rebecca Hall American Idol for speaking. It's like really, it's like there is no place like that. And I think it's such a smart idea you did, is because, I speak, and there's, now, especially in Canada, but if I would want to break more into the American market, this seems to me the place I would show up to, if I was picked, to get my chance. And I find it interesting that you chose 7 minutes when I just connected that when you first started, you also started with 7 minutes. Is there any connection there, or is it just a coincidence?
I think it's just a coincidence, but that is an interesting observation.
When you're in psychology, you always notice everything. What can I tell you? I think this is just fascinating for people. And I'm sure there's so many people listening who would like to get on those stages. So again, they go to your website to find out more about this, right?
Exactly. And it's speakertalentsearch.com if they want to go straight to that, or if they go to my main website, there's a button they can click and learn all about it.
Okay, so on top of that, you have your radio show and your TV show and your TV channel. Do you mind sharing a little bit about these things for our listeners?
Sure. Which piece would you like me to start with?
Well, tell me about your radio show.
Sure. That one, it's called Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. It is live broadcast on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we love people to call in. So if anyone is inclined, we love that. Or you can always email in your questions. But I usually bring on 2 experts per show. But the first part, we pause and we really listen. I lead us through a meditation that we go within and we listen and set our intentions. And then we weave in these amazing experts to share their expertise. And then at the close, each of them have brought forward a gift to support you on your journey, a free gift. And we let you know how to access that, because I want you to have the same access I have to the experts and to really get traction in your life. And then it's replayed we have syndicated on the Empowerment Channel on Wednesday afternoons. So it's played there again. And that's also syndicated on the Speak Up and Listen network. So those who call in, guess what? You get exposure and you get echoed out throughout all of those different places. So I encourage people to lean in and participate. It's really designed to serve and support.
Okay. So did the radio show lead to a TV show?
Yes, the radio show so the speaking led to the book, and then the book led to the radio show. That's been my path. And then the radio show, I actually thought when they were throwing in television, because again, television wasn't my dream. And now I love it. I'm stepping into it in bigger worlds. But it was foreign. It had to do with cameras. I didn't know that I wanted to have any technology. I wanted to be in that. And so when it was proposed to have me step into television show, I thought, I can do that. I'm willing. I'll learn how. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to share. If this can make a difference, I'll do it. And what I didn't realize until a couple of months later when I was talking with the head of the television network, that it was actually a television channel, not a show.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, because you also have a TV channel. So the TV show is a TV channel.
It's both. I have... so TV channel is multiple shows, and so one of the shows on the channel is mine. But we can read and see what we can read and see, and I read contracts all the time, and I read this, and for some reason I couldn't conceive that that was too big for me to understand, a television channel. And when I finally understood, I tried to play cool because I'd already signed the contract, right?
Oh,
and so
funny.
They're like, Rebecca, we've answered all this TV show stuff. What are we doing about your channel? When are we going to launch that? And I went, so I'm quiet for a beat. I go, channel? And I figure I can do anything by January. And this was I believe it was in August, the first part of August. And I go, January, I'll launch it in January. And his response was, no, that's too long.
Oh.
October.
Oh, no. Wow.
He goes, 15th? I go, okay. And we
Oh,
ended up
boy.
pushing it back to November 1st, but we did it and we launched. It's that willingness and, moving forward and learning what I need to learn and becoming what I need to become to serve the way I'm called to serve.
So is the TV show weekly?
Mm-hmm.
And the TV channel is a bunch of shows, I guess.
Yeah, the TV channel's all the time, and you can go there now and you'll see a plethora of shows that you can play on demand. And each of the television hosts that are producing weekly shows, they're all producing weekly shows, have different times and days of the week that they release their new one.
So you run the channel, though. You run the channel and choose who goes where. Okay, so is it all based on empowerment then?
This one's really based on transformation. And so it's empowerment and transformation because I want to have the programming equip and empower people towards movement in their life. And they're all different spheres. Some of them focus on business. Some we have a dancing show. Some are business. Some are, I think, balance, spirituality. Like we have a whole range. We have one called Transformational Messenger by Ron Kokuya that's just so powerful and deep in what he brings forward. And mine's from my live events, and we break it down into 30-minute weekly shows. And that's what we're doing. Yeah, so there's, I believe, 9 shows, new shows every week that are being produced on the channel.
So you said that you bring it from your live events. So you mean you film your live events and then play part of them on the show? I'd love to. I'm going to be checking that out. So I go to Voice. Where do I go? To Voice America to see that? You
can go there, or you can go directly to the channel, which is Empowered Connections. TV.com. You can also find the link on my website, and that'll take you directly there. You're going to see a bunch of shows, and they're all, some of them produce themselves, some have studios. There's another one called by Jan Rose Distel called Age with Attitude, and it's sassy and fabulous. There's that one about an even better second half and peace of mind lifestyle and mind and body and metabolism and money. She covers all of those things that you can go there. And then I believe mine is the only one right now that's filmed from live events and then converted into a weekly show. But mine is the Women's Empowerment Series, so you can look it up in the category or just find it on the page.
So many projects. I guess I want to ask the question before I go to the, what else is going on is, how do you balance your time with all these things?
I build a piece at a time. And one of the skills I've learned is to really make sure when I say yes to something, it's a yes, not just something, it's really a yes for me. I'm called to move forward in that, not just something amazing, but yes. And when I add something to my plate, I take something off. Either delegate it to a team, build that up so it can stand on its own, and then I can take the next project on. I don't do all of this alone. It's not a solo journey, but I suffered in the beginning from full plate syndrome where I just keep adding, yes, I can do that, add. Yeah. And pretty soon the good stuff like the chocolate cake's rolling off the plate. and I don't want that. I want to enjoy the chocolate cake too. So I learned that when I add something, I have to take something off. And then the extra credit level I let people know about is actually having room on your plate. So when that opportunity comes, you already have space.
Yeah, and I guess you must coach people on that because that's definitely a skill.
Yes.
I mean, when things start to go well, things have gone very nicely for me in my career, and I'm so happy and grateful for that. But yeah, there is a problem because the plate gets full very fast. 2 small kids, 4 companies, there's a lot going on. And I'm listening to you, and I'm suddenly, it sounds like you're pretty busy too. Mm-hmm. So I think that the fact that you keep some space on your plate is definitely a skill that I'm sure lots of people would want to learn from you about how you do that. You sound really calm too.
Well, good. I do a lot of pausing and breathing throughout the day and start my day with quiet time and reflection and nourishment. I found that I would also pour myself out to depletion. So every day I start the day feeding into me before I go out into the world so that I really can be present and there and serve the way I want to.
So do you coach people individually on, balance, empowerment, being seen, radio shows? I know the answer actually, but I want listeners to know the answer.
Why, I'm so glad you asked that question, Sandra. Yes, I do. on all of those things. And some of those skills we teach on the radio show, and then some of them in the books that we're producing. We have programs that are virtual and self-paced. We have others that are group programs that I'll lead. And then I do as well that private VIP coaching. So it just depends on where people are at and what lines up to serve them best. But we have programs to support in all of those areas.
Okay, now you did mention you have 4 books coming out. I mean, the chocolate cake might be falling off the plate. Like 4 books, Rebecca? 4 books?
4 books, and most
Tell
of them
us.
I will tell. So one of them is called, it came out earlier this year. It was Discover Your Destiny, and I was a co-author in that one. I'm writing the forward for another book where they also have me share some of my story, which is called Warrior Women, and it's really tapping into our power and bringing that out and forward. That's going to come out in May. Then I'm part of another one that's called Women on a Mission. I'm a co-author, and that one's going to come out in June. And then I'm actually compiling and leading one of the projects, so an anthology called Come Out of Hiding and Shine. That will come forward in, that one comes forward in September. And then I'm part of another one that is about women and feminine entrepreneurship, and how to really be fully in that and fully in our business. That one's going to come out in October. And then I'm also bringing forward, this one I'm completely writing, my grandmother's stories. And they are the ones who inspired my journey and taught me a lot of the wisdom that I've been given as a legacy today. And that's going to come forward this year as well.
Well, you're clearly a very lazy woman. There's no doubt about that. Again, being in the field of psychology, I have a personal question for you to see if you're comfortable with it. Given, I don't know the details, but given the details of the people who were not kind to you and who made you feel like you weren't seen and you couldn't be heard, and, the horrible things that you described, have you had time to take in how much you've turned this around, and to sort of feel like you didn't get to me, which I think exemplifies empowerment. You turned it around. Do you think about that, about where you came from to where you are now?
I do at times. I am interviewed a lot, and so we talk about it a lot, the journey and where I was, and pausing and kind of seeing that. But so much of it, it's just a step-by-step journey. There's that forgiveness part. There's the choice part. There's honoring the emotions and releasing and choosing what to bring forward. And all of those choices we get to take along the way. And where I have to pause and look. And actually, I just was given an award as one of the top 10 working women in America by an organization.
Wow.
And in the area of entrepreneurship.
What's the organization?
It's called A-WIN, and it's working women that are supporting one another.
Wow, congratulations.
AWWIN, org. It's a nonprofit, and it's really about women who need support and reaching out to each other to do that. And so very, very honored to be nominated and then to be given that award. So moments like that, and my birthday was yesterday, and so many people sent me such loving messages that was another moment where I got to pause and see. So I think it's when we pause and we kind of look and get to know that we are making a difference out there, that's when I'm able to see it. And so I'm so thankful that I get to do what I get to do.
Yeah. And you mentioned forgiveness. I think that's very much a part of it, or else you would have gotten stuck for sure. So for people listening, that is, we talk about this in psychology all the time, is that you can't hold on to that bitterness from the past and move forward. So that's that's one of my tips, but I want to ask you if you have a final tip or a final share that you have for our listeners today. I can't believe how fast the time's gone, but it has. I'm curious what your final tip or final share would be.
It would be to pause today and take a breath. And as you do that, take even a couple of those big belly cortisol lowering breaths and really see, am I being who I want to be? And if the answer is no or yes, but I want more, then with your next breath, be that. And just make a choice that I want to bring this forward and be willing. And if you're feeling that pull and that call, I promise you, it's your calling. People are needing what you have to offer now, not someday, not when it's all perfect and shiny, but now.
Wow. Rebecca Hall Gruyter, I'm a fan. Where do people find you if they want to hear more?
It's at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Again, that's yourpurposedrivenpractice.com.
Rebecca, as I said, I'm a big fan, and I want to thank you so much for coming on Straight Talk, and I look forward to coming on to your wonderful show in May.
Thank you. It's an honor.
This is Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, and you know it. Keep your eyes on the stars. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America